Hey guys, so in this video we are going to add the turtles. So let me show you what I've got so far and what the end result will look like. And basically this is it. So we have two rows of turtles and you can see that the turtles are organizing into groups and each group has a specific number of turtles. So we have on this first row we have 4 groups of 3 turtles and here we have 4 groups of 2 turtles. And you can see this gap here. It might look weird, but the actual game also has this gap in it, so I just left it like this. And okay, so let me show you where to begin. Yeah, I'm gonna close this. So the first thing I did was adding the turtle. Created a new actor. I imported the turtle animation, and let me show you. Not this. Sprites. Yes, so the turtle is here. You can see this is the animation that I created for the turtle. So it has like 5 frames, and the first 3 frames are the default animation. I actually thought that the turtle didn't have an animation, a swim animation like a default one, so I created all together. So I ended up importing the entire animation into the actor and just and removed like the last 2 frames from the animation. So I got the default animation like this. I changed the milliseconds to 200 milliseconds because it was once again importing with 100. I need to check if we have like a place to change this, you know, like the default animation. Probably have here on the settings, but I'm not sure yet, so I'll see that later. And I adjust the collisions just like with all the other sprites, so 30 by 30, and I change the positions and the physics, so cannot be pushed, cannot rotate, the same that we've been doing with all the other actors. And so this is we want to, I already have these ones here, but I'll leave it to another video. I haven't implemented yet the dive and the rise animations. So we have our turtle, and then I was going to add the code also inside the game manager to instantiate the turtles, but we would start having like a really big, group of blocks here. So I ended up creating a new behavior for the scene called turtle spawner, and this is the one that is going to deal with instantiating all the turtles. And so I'm gonna open this one, and this is the code that instantiates the turtles. And the code looks a really bit complex, and because I'm reusing this code and I'm using just a single block to create the both rows of the turtles. So like I showed you before, we have 2 different rows. The first one with 4 groups of 3 turtles, and here 4 groups of 2 turtles. And this is the image of when the level starts. So the level starts exactly like this. So you can see that the turtles, just like the cars, the turtles start at different positions. And I try to replicate exactly that. So you can see that the first row, the turtles start here, almost outside of the screen. This one starts inside the screen. And basically what I ended up doing is that we have like a lot of different parameters that we need to implement. So what I ended up doing was creating a custom block that accepts all these parameters, and I'm calling that block from the game manager and giving the correct parameters to create the different lanes of turtles. So what parameters are I'm talking about? So we have like the Y position. So this one, the Y position is 224, and actually I don't have the parameters for this one, so I'm just gonna add it here. So this is 128. Okay, I'll get back to it in just a bit. So let's see this first. So the position on the Y position is 224. The X position is minus 16, which is the position of the first turtle. You can see that the first turtle already starts off the screen, and it's like half of it's off the screen, so it's minus 16. Then we have 4 groups of 3 turtles. The turtles take 7 seconds to go from one side of the screen to the other, which is the speed. and the turtles are 32 pixels apart from each other. Not the turtles, but the groups are 32 pixels apart from each other. And the first group dives, but I haven't dealt with this yet. So let's see the code to generate all this. So I create this group, and you can see that the group accepts a lot of arguments. I don't remember if we talked about custom blocks with arguments, but basically arguments are data or input values that we can pass into inside the group when we call this block. So you see that the block has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arguments, or parameters actually, or arguments. Yeah, I don't know. Arguments. And when I'm calling from the game manager, you see that I have the blocks. So the custom blocks, I have it here. The turtle spawner has like these complex blocks with the 5 values that I can pass into it. So you can see that I'm calling the spawn block 2 times, one for each lane, and I'm giving different values. So on the first one, I'm saying to spawn 4 groups of 3 turtles at the starting position minus 16, the Y position 224, with 32 pixels in between. This is the code to generate the first lane, and the second one to generate this other one. So I'm saying to spawn 4 groups of 2 turtles that start at x64, which is this one right here, with the Y position at 128 with 48 pixels in between. So this is really awesome in a way with Stencyl, because we can just create a block with arguments, and by using arguments we can just reuse the block like you're seeing. So I'm using the same code to generate 2 different layouts of turtles. And now let's go into the actual layout to see what it is doing. So the first thing is that when a block has arguments like this one, you can see that the values that we pass here will be used as variables inside the block. So the group count is the value that I pass on here. So 4. In this case, the group count is 3. In this case, the group count is not the group count, the turtle count, or the group size here is 3 and here is 2, and the position. So you need to think like when you pass those values get inside the block as parameters. So these are variables that are going to have the value that was passed when you call the block, when you use the block. So let's see how this works for the first group. For the first group, so the group count is 4, the group size is 3, turtles start at position x minus 16, position y 224, and have a group offset of 32 pixels in between groups. So the first thing that I do is, I actually don't need this. Yeah, I have like this position X that I actually don't need because I need to change this. Initially, I was not using the parameters. I just had like the same blocks but with the static values because I was just creating the first one. So I actually, let me see, I don't need this here. So let me remove. And once again, I'm just making changes to the to the code while I'm recording. So let's see if it works, if I don't break anything. And we actually don't need this parameter anymore. Oh, yeah, I'm just making mistakes now. Oh, I can change the attribute, really? Oh, really? Oh, I was not expecting this. Fuck. So we actually need this attribute. I'm gonna set it here. Initial position. Okay, what's happening is that I thought, so I had the, this is not initial position, this is initial position X. I thought that we could use these parameters and change the values in the parameters. So I was like getting rid of an attribute that I had before, that right now I could use the attributes. For example, this initial position X is the position X that I was passing here. So I was hoping that I could change this value, but it seems that I can't. So I actually need the attribute, need to use the attribute. So, okay, let's use it. So I'm setting the initial position to position X and repeat count, blah, blah, blah. And here what I'm doing is that at the end of this, I'm setting initial position to, I hope to get this right now, because I just I just changed it. So okay, not this one. So I'm changing the initial position. Okay, here I'm using the initial position. Actually, not the initial position, but whatever. Set initial position to initial position plus. Here is 32 because it's the size of the sprite, so it doesn't matter. And here at the end of this block, I'm setting this to this one and this one and this one plus the group offset. Let me just see if I didn't break anything in between. I really need to stop making changes to the code while I'm recording. But yeah, not a problem at all. It's still working, so not a problem. Okay, going back to before I broke everything, let me explain what's happening. So I'm passing these values, and what I'm doing here is I created an attribute where I store the initial position that the turtle is going to start with. So you can see that initially I'm setting the initial position x to the position x that we get from the parameter, which in the case that we are seeing is minus 16. So right now you can see that initial position x has a value of minus 16. And now I repeat, first I create a block that, okay, maybe I'm gonna do this. Okay, so first I create a block that is going to repeat the number that I pass in the group count. So I'm gonna repeat 4 times, which in the first case we have 4 groups. So I'm gonna repeat 4 times. And inside this block, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna repeat again, but in this time, according to the group size. So I'm gonna repeat 4 times, and inside I'm gonna repeat 3 times. So I'm gonna create 3 turtles, and I'm gonna do this 4 times. So I'm gonna have the 4 groups of 3 turtles. And then inside the second block, the second repeat block, I create the actual turtle. And I create the actual turtle at the initial x position and the position y. So I'm gonna position the first turtle and the position there, the initial position and the y position that I passed in the parameters. And then I'm gonna change or increment the initial position to his actual value plus 32. Why is that? Because when we repeat again, so this is going to repeat 3 times. The first time this is minus 16. When we end this block, I'm incrementing the position, the x position by 32 because that's the position of the next turtle. So the first time I'm doing this turtle, and when I create this turtle, I'm changing the x position to be the first one plus 32. So the first one was here on the top left corner plus 32. Now we have the position for this one. That's why I changed it. So we go back to the beginning, and now the initial position is ready to create this one. And I do it again to create the next one. So this, we create one group. Now, at the end of the group, we need to also give the offset between this group and the other one. And that's why at the end of the repeat, the inside repeat block, I'm also changing the position of initial position, in this case the x position, to its own value plus the group offset, which is the value that I pass here. So when we end creating the first group, we add the group offset to prepare the position for the first turtle of the next group. And then it repeats all over again, and it's going to repeat 4 times in this case. And this is the code to create the turtles, the groups, and everything. Now, with the parameters, it's a really big advantage because I can just pass these values and it's going to create these 2 different layouts. So you can see that here we have the same amount of groups, but each group has a different number of turtles, different offsets between them. And by using all these parameters here, I can call it and just create it from the game manager. So this is the code to create the turtles. And I also I forgot to say this. So when I created the turtle, besides all that, I ended up using also the NPC movement. So I'm using exactly the same behavior that I'm using for the cars, I'm using for the turtles. Now, I needed to change a small thing here on the NPC movement to make the turtles work. And why is that? Because you can see, because of this first line of turtles, you see that this turtle here already starts at like half the off the screen, and this one is half inside the screen. And what was happening was that, so let's see, like the turtles are moving like this, right? And the code that we had before for the NPC movement to reset the position was that as soon as the object or the actor is out of the screen, we would reset the position of the actor back to the beginning. So, but you see that if the turtles are like this and they move, this actor is already outside of the screen, and we would reset the position, and what would happen was that the actor was appearing. I mean, let me see if I can show you. So this would keep moving, but since we resetted the actor before, what would happen was that the actor would appear like connected to this one, because we didn't have that space between the actors. So I did a little hack. I must say I'm not very happy with this implementation or this solution. It's a sort of a hack, but it works for now. So what I'm doing is that I'm using a reset position to actually know when to reset the actors. And how does this work? So before we were using this on exit screen. So basically what we were doing was like, okay, as soon as the actor is outside of the screen, just reset to the initial position. And in this case, I can't do that. What I need to do is to give an offset so that I only reset these actors when they are basically like this. So this is the way that I can reset the actor and leave one space in between the groups. So I disabled this. I didn't delete it. I just disabled, and I added an event, or updating event, because this is going to be running on a loop. And I added the reset position X. What is this reset position X? Basically, I can now define what is the position that the actor needs to have to reset to the beginning. So, and what I'm doing is that in this case, the position where I'm resetting the turtle is when the first turtle is at minus 64. Minus 64, why? Because it's the space that we have for two turtles and give us enough space to have here one turtle in between the groups. But then I added this, and you can see, so basically it's this condition here. Okay, initially I had this, so if the X position of the turtle is minus the reset position, I just reset the position to the initial one. But this was working. But now the problem was that I needed to add this to all the actors, and I didn't want to like mess up the cars or anything else. And it was just this line of turtles that had that problem. So I added a new attribute called use reset position, and I'm only doing this, and I'm only using this when I have this use reset position as a true value. Otherwise, so we have if the actor is not on screen, then I just reset it. And this not on screen basically does exactly the same that we had it here. It seems like a hack. I'm not very happy with this, but so far it works, and I don't know if I'm gonna have to change this because of the logs, because maybe they have some other requirements, but we'll see. And I also had to add this, so this is like a hack on top of a hack, you know. Then I had another problem was that, okay, if the actor is not on screen, I was resetting, and what was happening was that, like, for this card, for example, since the cards were already starting here, and they are not using the reset position, and they were not on screen, so they were constantly resetting the initial position. So I needed to add a new condition that says, okay, if the actor is not on screen and if the X position of the actor is not equal to the initial position, then we reset the position. And it seems like a little bit a hack on top of a hack, but it works for now, and it's not that complex, so I'm just gonna go with it, you know, and we'll see if we change it later. And this is it about the turtles. So you can see that the turtles have a reset position of minus 64, and I'm using the reset position. and all the other actors, for example the cars, are not using the reset position, and it's at 0, so they don't care about this, which is not, like once again, it's not a very good solution, but we'll see. And I'm also going to change this eventually. I don't want to have like all these blocks here, so probably I'm just going to create a car spawner, just like I created a turtle spawner. I'm going to create a car spawner to deal with all these blocks right here. And yeah, this is it. I mean, we have the turtles, we have the 2 lanes of turtles, the turtles are moving, resetting the position, and now I'm going to deal with creating the dive animation and the collision between the turtles and the player. Not only the collision, because right now, let me show you. Okay, right now it doesn't happen anything. So I not only the collision, I need to do the collision, the player with the water. So kill the frog when it's on water, and make the frog hop onto a turtle so he gets transported by the turtle on the game. And that's what I'm going to be dealing with next. So thank you.